welcome to the CRN TV on location video. My name is Matt Harris, content strategist at CRN, and today I'm joined by Paul Croker and Wayne Selk at ChannelCon EMEA. Guys, great to see you.
Great to see you too.
You too, thank you.
I want to pick both your brains about the current cybersecurity landscape in the UK right now. And maybe I'll start with you, Wayne. How are you really seeing the cybersecurity threat landscape in the UK and beyond right now? And what are some of the more pressing threats of today?
Right. That's a pretty hot topic today, especially given the 3 incidents that have happened in recent memory, recent history right now, right? I think Jaguar Land Rover is still in the process of recovering. Look, the threats are real, right? And it just doesn't really matter what size of organization. Quite honestly, I was talking with some folks from the cyber resilience centers. The small, medium enterprises and the small micro organizations are just as much under attack, because I think what a lot of organizations don't realize is they're just a street number on the information superhighway, right? In the form of an IP address. They don't know who they're attacking until after they get in. So threats that hit Jaguar, M&S, or take your pick in the UK, those could have just as easily happened to some of the small mom and pop shops or smaller organizations here as well, right? It's happenstance. And so we all have to be very vigilant in where we're getting our threat intelligence from. And fortunately for our GTIA members, we have the Information Sharing and Analysis Organization, which collects a lot of the threat intel from around the globe and provides it out to our clients at MSPs, managed service providers, and also IT service providers.
Yeah, makes sense. And this is one for you, Paul. I think with the current regulatory landscape that is constantly shifting and changing, and we're seeing a lot of the research that we're doing and a lot of people that we're speaking to are really trying to demystify some of that. How do you see the current regulatory landscape, and how do you see it developing over time?
That's a great question. It's not a simple answer. So in the UK at the moment, obviously we know we've got Cyber Essentials certification framework. It's the basics, and we see organizations struggling to do that at the moment and maintain it. We know the cyber resilience bill is coming. We keep hearing about that and potential regulations for the MSPs. But when's that going to happen? What's it going to look like? We're not quite sure yet. Keeps getting pushed back because I don't think the government have really got a grasp on that as well at the moment. So I think there's ducks that need to be lined up in a certain order.
So GTIA's Cybersecurity Trust Mark establishes a milestone to guide IT solution providers in achieving risk and cybersecurity maturity. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and the Cybersecurity Trust Mark Readiness Program?
Sure. So the Trust Mark itself is not a framework, right? It is 177 safeguards made up and tailored to the IT service providers anywhere in the world. It's the safeguards are pulled from other global frameworks, the Center for Internet Security, the NIST 800-171. There's GDPR and other privacy framework references in here. There and ISO 27000 like safeguards as well. But all 177 really make up a foundational security program that every IT service provider, I don't care where you are in the world, needs to have in order to succeed as an organization. They support a lot of disparate industry verticals: retail, banking, manufacturing, construction, transportation. I could go on, right? And each of those areas has its own framework, right? And it becomes very difficult and problematic for an IT service provider. In a lot of cases, they're very small, 5, 10 employees, right? That are managing all this critical national infrastructure that's important to the government, which is part of the reason why they're being regulated. And the Trust Mark can actually help them get through and implement that security program, a foundational security program, and then go wherever they need to, whether it's more into the financial sector, if that's their primary focus, more into banking, more into construction. You know, it really doesn't matter where they go beyond that.
But it's also, right, it's going to help the technical company have a non-technical discussion with the business and the business owners, which we're hearing more and more is important. Sometimes the MSPs can struggle with, well, what does that look like? Where do I start with that? it's something a bit alien to me. I know the tech and technology because that's what we've used a lot. So to move it to a framework, compliance, risk, regulations, government's risk and compliance, GRC stuff, this is going to help them do that.
Yeah, and we're gonna get them ready for whatever regulation finally decides to pop out in the UK, right? And I realize everybody's focused on the number right now is 51 or more employees inside of the Resilience Act. But let me tell you something. That's going to come downstream very, very quickly. And if the other businesses are not paying attention to what's going on and get started in the short term of jumping on board with something like the Trustmark, because we have weekly meetings where folks can join and understand the challenges that they're facing from a particular safeguard, and they get community feedback to help them address those challenges and issues from peers. No, find another framework where that's happening today. I challenge you, right? Nothing against Cyber Essentials or Essential Plus. We actually help them understand the why this is so important, why you need to move this forward as the managed service provider down to your clients eventually, but once you get it and you've ingrained.
But if a client of an MSP then says, well, how do I know you're safe and secure?
Right.
You tell me you are. That sounds nice. But my children say sometimes I've done the homework and I love them to bits, but they haven't always done that yet. Sure. So how do we evidence that? Well, this is another way that we can use as a milestone, independent. Well, it is independent. Obviously, it gets checked.
It is independent. We're using Crest International. We're using assessors that have been Crest accredited through the CIS, the Center for Internet Security Accreditation, as the assessors eligible to assess against the cybersecurity Trustmark, right? So Crest handles their members and their accreditation, and they make them eligible to us to bring in and assess against the Trustmark. It's a very good relationship, very symbiotic relationship.
So as MSPs, we can use that as almost like a badge of honor. We like badges and stuff and the symbols, and we can put that on our information to say, look, it's not just me saying we're doing the right thing. Here's the evidence. Here's the certification. Here's the compliance piece.
And for the people watching who want to learn more about this, where do they sort of go, and is there any sort of repository of information for stuff like this?
Yes, they can go out to gtia.org, up under the member information, or they can just go direct to Trustmark, gtia.org/Trustmark.
Wayne, Paul, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.